I suggested an open marriage to test my wife 3 days before her New York business trip. She said yes before I finished the sentence, named her coworker Jordan, and opened a rules document that was already 3 weeks old. I did not accuse her. I asked her to share the file with me. My name is Adam. I am 38 and Nicole is 36. We had been married for 9 years. Until that week, I would have described our marriage as ordinary in the best possible way. We lived in a 2-bedroom condo outside Philadelphia, argued about cabinet doors, split Sunday grocery runs, and had a standing rule that whoever got home first walked our dog, Murphy. We did not have a dramatic marriage. That mattered because Nicole later told people I had been waiting for an excuse to leave. I had not. I was the person comparing refinance rates because we planned to redo the kitchen. I had already measured the space for the cabinet she wanted beside the refrigerator. Nicole worked in medical software sales. Her job included conferences, client dinners, and occasional travel. I had never asked her to share her location or send pictures from a hotel. When she traveled, she forwarded her flight and hotel details to our shared travel email. I did the same. It was practical, not surveillance. Her New York trip was supposed to run from Monday morning through Wednesday evening. About 2 weeks before it, she said the company had added a leadership dinner, so she would leave Friday afternoon instead. 4 nights for a 2-day conference sounded expensive, but she said the weekend events were being covered by a sponsor. I asked whether spouses were invited. "It's a women in leadership thing," she said. "You'd be bored." I laughed and told her I could survive an evening without a software demo. She did not laugh back. She closed her laptop and carried it into the bedroom. That was the first moment that felt off. It was small enough to dismiss, so I did. 2 days later, a calendar notification appeared on the tablet mounted in our kitchen. We used that tablet for recipes, music, and our shared schedule. The notification said, "Astor House Rooftop, 2 guests, Friday at 8. I assumed it was the leadership dinner. When Nicole came home, I asked whether Astor House was the sponsor venue. She looked at the screen for half a second too long. "No. That's probably an old calendar import." She tapped the event. It disappeared. Who was the second guest? I asked. "Adam, I just told you it was an import." She said it with the exhausted tone people use when the other person is being unreasonable. I let it go, but I wrote the venue name on the back of a hardware store receipt before I forgot it. The following Saturday, Nicole bought a dark green dress. She modeled it in our bedroom and asked whether it looked too formal. I said it looked great and asked if it was for the leadership dinner. "Maybe," she said. "There are a few things." Then she asked whether I remembered Jordan Cole from her company holiday party. I did. Jordan managed accounts in northern New Jersey. He was married, spoke too loudly, and had spent most of that holiday party telling me how often he and Nicole rescued each other's deals. Nicole had called him exhausting on the drive home. "Is Jordan going to New York?" I asked. "No. Different territory," she answered quickly, then asked me to zip the dress. None of those details proved an affair. A calendar event can be wrong. A dress is a dress. Coworkers attend the same conferences. I knew that if I accused her based on those things, she could deny everything and I would deserve the denial, but I also knew Nicole's normal travel routine. She usually printed 1 copy of her itinerary because her phone battery was unreliable. That week, the printer sat untouched. She stopped forwarding travel details to our shared address. When I asked for her flight number so I could pick her up Wednesday, she said the company might change it. On Sunday night, she brought 2 glasses of wine to the living room and said we needed to talk about how predictable we had become. That phrase was not normal for her. Nicole complained about specific things. The dog needed training. I worked too late on Tuesdays. The upstairs neighbor ran a blender at 6 in the morning. She did not speak in podcast phrases about our marriage. I asked what she wanted to change. "I want us to stop acting like being married means we own each other," she said. "Do you feel owned?" "Sometimes I feel monitored." That surprised me. I asked for an example. She mentioned the calendar notification that appeared on the kitchen screen. I said, "I didn't go looking for it." The point is that I should be able to have a life without explaining every person in it. There was a long pause. I wish I could say I handled it with perfect maturity. I did not. I had spent a week collecting innocent explanations for details that felt wrong, and I wanted one reaction I could understand. So I set a test. Then maybe we should open the marriage, I said. If neither of us owns the other, maybe we should be free to date other people. I expected anger. I expected confusion. I expected her to ask whether I already had someone in mind. Nicole leaned forward and put down her glass. Are you serious? I'm asking what you think. I think it could work. There was no pause after that. She said Jordan's name before I had even described what open meant. Jordan and I already trust each other, she said. That would be safer than strangers. The room seemed to go quiet around his name. The exhausting guy from the holiday party? He's not exhausting. You met him once. You told me he wasn't going to New York. This isn't about New York. Then she picked up her laptop and said, if we're actually discussing this, we need rules. She opened a document titled Boundaries Final. It was not an empty page. It had headings, bullet points, and a table with 2 columns labeled Home and Travel. I remember the rules more clearly than I remember her face. No coworkers within 25 miles of home. No overnight guests in the condo. Travel partners did not require advance introductions. No questions about hotel room changes after arrival. Existing work contacts were allowed if both spouses knew their names. The bottom row contained 2 sets of initials, N+J and a blank. My initials are R. Jordan's are J100. You wrote this tonight? I asked. I've journaled about it before. I cleaned it up while you were talking. It had been less than a minute since I used the words open marriage. I told her I would not agree to anything I had not read carefully. She said that was fair. Then she shared the document with my personal email and gave me editing access. That decision became the first concrete proof in the story. Nicole did not know that the document platform kept a version history visible to every editor. I opened the file on my desktop. The first version had been created on May 11th, 3 weeks before our conversation. The home and travel table appeared in that original version. Jordan's initials were added 4 days later. The line about hotel room changes was added on May 29th, the same day Nicole told me her New York trip would begin early. I took screenshots of the version list and exported a copy of the document she had shared with me. I did not search her messages. I did not guess her password. I did not touch her phone. I saved only what she had deliberately put in my hands. Then I made my first real decision. I was not going to pretend I had approved anything, and I was not going to confront Jordan at work or at a hotel. I emailed myself a short note recording the date and exactly what had happened. After that, I slept in the guest room. The next morning, Nicole acted as if we had reached a tentative agreement. She stood in the kitchen making coffee and said, "We should each choose one person for the first month." I didn't agree to a first month. You proposed this. I proposed a conversation. I saw the version history. Her hand stopped over the sugar bowl. I turned my laptop toward her. The screen showed May 11th beside the first version and May 29th beside the hotel rule. Nicole did not ask what version history meant. She knew. I told you I'd thought about it before, she said. You told me you cleaned it up while I was talking. You're splitting hairs because you got scared. Why are Jordan's initials in a file from before I asked? She said the initials meant just considering. She said she and Jordan had discussed open relationships in general because his marriage was also stale. Then she said nothing physical had happened. I had not asked whether anything physical had happened. That answer changed my question. I was no longer wondering whether Nicole liked the idea of an open marriage. I was wondering how many decisions she and Jordan had made before inviting their spouses into the conversation. I told her plainly that I did not consent to an open marriage. I also told her my proposal had been a test and that using it had been manipulative. I apologized for that part without taking back what the file showed. So you trapped me, she said. I gave you a sentence. I didn't create a document 3 weeks ago. She slammed her mug into the sink hard enough to splash coffee across the backsplash. For the rest of the day, we exchanged only practical messages. At 4 in the afternoon, I called a family law attorney recommended by a colleague. The attorney did not promise me the condo, tell me to empty accounts, or offer any movie-style trick. She told me to preserve records I had lawful access to, avoid interfering with Nicole's work travel, and make no sudden financial moves without advice. That call mattered, because my first angry instinct had been to cancel the credit card Nicole used for travel. It was a joint account, and I could have caused a problem while she was away. I did not do it. I downloaded the recent statements, confirmed there were no unfamiliar large transfers, and left the account alone. Tuesday evening, I received a text from a number I did not recognize. "Hi, this is Maya Cole, Jordan's wife. We met at the December party. Can you talk?" I stepped onto the balcony and called her. Maya did not sound dramatic. She sounded embarrassed. Jordan had asked her for an open marriage that morning. He told her Nicole and I had already agreed, and that the four of us were being adults about the New York weekend. Maya knew that was false because she still had my number in the holiday party group chat. She sent me a screenshot of Jordan's message to her. It read, "Adam finally brought it up. Nicole said their side is approved. We can keep Friday private and stop acting guilty." The message did not prove what they had done before Friday. It proved Jordan believed there was already a New York plan, and that Nicole had told him I approved it. Maya also sent a screenshot of an Astor House reservation from Jordan's email, which he had forwarded to their shared household account. The reservation listed Jordan as the purchaser and Nicole as his guest. It had been booked on May 15th, 16 days before my proposal. I asked Maya what she planned to do. "Handle my marriage," she said. "I'm not asking you to help me catch them. I just refused to let him use your name as my permission." That was the most useful thing anyone said to me that week. We agreed not to contact their employer, not to invent claims about what happened in hotel rooms, and not to stage a confrontation in New York. She gave me permission to preserve the message she had sent. I told her I would do the same with anything that directly involved me. When I went back inside, Nicole was packing the green dress. I told her Maya had called. Nicole closed the suitcase and sat on it. "My ear is unstable," she said. "Did you tell Jordan I approved Friday?" "You did approve it. Show me the message where I approved Jordan or Friday." "You said open marriage." I said maybe we should discuss one. Then I said no. Jordan's reservation is from May 15th. Nicole stood up and began pulling clothes out of the suitcase as if the right sweater might answer for her. She said the rooftop event was networking. She said Jordan had added her as a guest because her invitation had not arrived. She said the hotel rule was copied from a forum, and the initials were a private fantasy. Each explanation could have been possible alone. Together, they required me to believe that she had drafted travel rules, added Jordan's initials, accepted his party invitation, extended her trip, and told him I approved, all without planning anything. I asked her to cancel the Friday party and return to the original Monday flight while we figured out whether the marriage could be repaired. "My career is not going to stop because you played a mind game," she said. "The conference starts Monday. I'm asking about the weekend with Jordan. You don't get to make rules after offering freedom." That sentence became the violation I could no longer explain away. Nicole was not asking me whether our marriage should change. She was treating my bad test as a permission slip she could backdate to May. I wrote a short email while she watched. It said I did not agree to an open marriage, had not approved any relationship with Jordan, and would consider choosing to pursue the preplanned New York weekend a decision to separate. I did not threaten her job, money, belongings, or access to our home. I read the email aloud before sending it. "You want everything documented, so you can make me the villain," she said. "I want one sentence you can't reinterpret." She forwarded the email to her sister, Laura. Within an hour, Laura called me and said Nicole had admitted I suggested the open marriage. "I did," I said. "Then you cannot punish her for saying yes." "Did Nicole tell you the rules file was 3 weeks old?" Laura went quiet, then said that married people sometimes fantasized. I asked whether fantasies usually included a paid reservation and a message telling the other spouse I had approved. She said I was humiliating Nicole by building a case. I ended the call before it became a family trial. The story spread anyway. That night, our friend Marcus texted to ask why I had offered Nicole a hall pass and then threatened divorce when she used it. Marcus and his wife were hosting a birthday dinner the following weekend, and he said it would be better if neither of us attended. I typed a long reply explaining every date, then deleted it. Sending a private marriage file to a group of friends would have turned evidence into a weapon. I sent Marcus 3 sentences instead. I said there had never been an agreement, the New York plan predated my question, and Nicole had received my written refusal before leaving. He replied with a thumbs up and nothing else. That cost me more than I expected. Nicole and I had shared most of our friends, and her simpler version traveled faster. Husband proposes freedom, wife accepts, husband panics. My version required a calendar. For several days, 2 friends stopped responding to me. I still did not send them the screenshots. The restraint was not noble. It was practical. If the marriage ended, I wanted to be able to say I had used the records to make a decision, not to recruit an audience. The only people who received copies were my attorney and, later, our counselor. Wednesday night, Nicole moved to the guest room. Thursday, she asked whether I would go to counseling if she skipped New York. I said yes. She asked whether I would promise not to leave. I said I could promise only to attend honestly. She called that an ultimatum. Friday morning, she rolled her suitcase to the door. Last chance to admit you caused this, she said. I caused the test. I didn't cause the planning. If I stay, you'll hold this over me forever. If you go, we separate. Nicole left. I did not follow her to the airport. I did not check the card every 10 minutes. I took Murphy to my brother's house, returned home, and moved my clothes into the guest room. On my attorney's advice, I opened an individual account for future pay while continuing to cover my share of every joint bill. I made an inventory of the condo, not because I expected Nicole to steal anything, but because clear records kept both of us from arguing about what had been there. That evening, Maya texted once. Jordan had gone to New York too. He had told her he was staying with a college friend. I replied, understood. Then I put my phone face down. Saturday afternoon, Nicole sent me a picture from a conference lounge. She was alone in the frame. See? She wrote, business. The conference badge hanging from her neck showed a Monday date. It was Saturday. I did not argue about the picture. I replied with a copy of the email I had sent before she left. On Sunday, Laura called again. She said Nicole was crying in her hotel room because I had abandoned her during a work crisis. I asked whether Nicole was still attending the rooftop event with Jordan. Laura said she did not know. I told her I was not going to discuss my marriage through a family relay. The counterpressure was effective because part of it was true. I had tested my wife instead of asking a direct question. Every time Nicole said that, I felt the shame of it. But shame did not alter dates. My mistake happened on Sunday night. The reservation happened in May. Monday morning, Maya forwarded one final message from Jordan. He had written, Nicole came anyway, so Adam's drama is his problem. We finally got one night without hiding. Maya wrote, I am sending this because he used your name again. I will not send anything else. I thanked her. I did not know what without hiding included, and I still do not. I never claimed the message proved they had sex. It proved that Jordan believed he and Nicole had been hiding something and that both of them continued after receiving explicit objections from their spouses. By Monday afternoon, my attorney had prepared a basic separation letter. It was not a magic document and did not remove Nicole from the condo. It stated that I considered us separated as of the day she left, proposed a temporary bill schedule, and asked that communication about finances remain in writing. I emailed it to Nicole. She called within 30 seconds. You planned this the whole time. The letter was drafted after you left. You wanted me to go so you could feel righteous. I asked you to stay. You asked me to surrender my career. Your conference started today. The party was Friday. She hung up. Nicole returned Wednesday night. I was at the dining table with copies of the file history, Jordan's message claiming approval, the reservation, and my separation letter. I had not arranged them for a dramatic reveal. I wanted every fact in front of us, so the conversation could not drift into whose tone was worse. She looked at the pages and said, "This is insane," then helped me remove the parts that are wrong. I went through them one at a time. Did she create the rules file on May 11th? Yes. Did she add Jordan's initials before I proposed anything? Yes, but as a fantasy. Did Jordan book the rooftop event for both of them on May 15th? Yes, but as friends. Did she tell Jordan I approved their plan? She had told him I was open to it. Did she go after receiving my written refusal? Yes, because she would not let me control her. I asked when they first discussed being together. Nicole stared at the table. After the April sales meeting, she said, that was 6 weeks before my test. She said they had kissed once in a hotel elevator after that meeting. She said she stopped it. Then they began sending each other articles about non-monogamy. The rules document came from those conversations. The New York party was supposed to be their first night together if both spouses could be persuaded. She insisted they had not slept together in New York because the situation had become too stressful. I did not know whether that was true. It was also no longer the fact on which my decision depended. Why didn't you ask me honestly? I said, because you would have said no. I did say no, after you made it sound possible. That was the closest we came to the core of it. Nicole believed my hypothetical opening had activated a plan. I believed consent had to be specific, mutual, and given before the plan, not manufactured after it. She asked me to delete the separation letter and attend counseling. I agreed to counseling, but not to delete the letter or resume the marriage while we attended. Our counselor was the first person who refused to let either of us hide inside the other's mistake. She told me testing a partner is corrosive because it replaces an honest question with a trap. She told Nicole that a trap cannot create a 3-week-old document, a prior kiss, a reservation, or permission that was never given. I owned my part. I should have shown Nicole the calendar contradiction and asked directly whether Jordan was involved. I should have been prepared to hear a lie without trying to manufacture a revealing answer. Nicole owned pieces of her part, but never the whole sequence. 1 week she'd admitted the rules were meant for Jordan. The next week she said they were creative writing. She'd admitted the elevator kiss, then called it a near kiss. She said the New York trip had been a mistake, then said she would make the same choice because staying home would have rewarded my control. After 4 sessions, the counselor asked each of us what rebuilding trust would require. I said I would need a complete timeline, no private contact with Jordan while we decided what came next, and acknowledgement that my proposal was not approval. Nicole said she would need me to accept equal blame and promise never to use the records in a divorce. I could promise never to post them, send them to her employer, or use them to humiliate her. I could not promise to pretend they did not exist. That was our last joint session. 6 weeks after New York, Nicole moved into an apartment near her office. We signed a temporary agreement about the condo bills through our attorneys. Neither of us emptied accounts or changed locks. Murphy stayed with me because my schedule kept him in the same routine, and Nicole visited him twice before deciding the visits were too painful. 2 months later, I authorized my attorney to file for divorce. Nicole sent one final message about the open marriage test. If you had never said it, none of this would have happened. I looked at the date on the message, then at the date on the first version of her rules file. I replied, if I had never said it, I might not have learned what was already happening. Then I stopped debating the premise of our separation. The condo sold the following spring. I kept the hardware store receipt with Astor House written on the back until closing, then shredded it. I kept the exported rules file with the legal records because it belonged to the timeline, not because I wanted to reread it. I am not proud that I tested my wife. It was a poor decision made by someone afraid to ask a question he thought would be denied. But the result was not that Nicole failed a surprise purity test. The result was that she treated a vague sentence as retroactive consent for a specific man, a specific party, and a plan that already had dates attached. An open marriage requires more honesty than a closed one, not less. It cannot begin with one spouse preparing the rules with a future partner and recruiting the other spouse 3 days before the flight. So here is the part I still wonder about. Was my test itself enough to end the marriage, or did the 3-week-old rules file prove that the marriage had already been opened without me?